The massive bridge of the human battleship, Thunder's Edge, was quiet except for the soft beeping of monitoring systems. Commander Jack Stone stood at the main viewport, his weathered hands clasped behind his back as he watched the stars drift by. 20 years of space combat had left their mark on his face, but his eyes remained sharp and alert. "Commander," called out the ship's core, its voice calm but urgent. "I'm detecting a Class 1 emergency beacon. Signal origin: the Void sector." Stone's head snapped toward the holographic display. The Void was the last place anyone would expect to find a distress signal. Most species avoided that region of space like the plague, and for good reason. The gravitational disturbances there could tear ships apart. "Show me," he ordered, walking to the central command table. The hologram expanded, revealing a pulsing red dot deep in the forbidden zone. Data streams scrolled alongside it, showing signal strength and composition. Core's analysis appeared in crisp blue text. Signal matches known patterns of the Whisper's trading fleet. Their energy signature is unmistakable. Stone frowned. The Whispers were one of the most peaceful species in the galaxy. Their massive trading ships were beautiful things, glowing with bioluminescent patterns that they used to communicate. What were they doing in the Void? "Get me fleet command," Stone ordered, his mind already racing through rescue scenarios. The communications officer nodded, and within moments, a holographic face appeared above the table. "Admiral," Stone began, "we've picked up a Class 1 distress beacon from the Void. Whisper's trading vessel, requesting permission to respond." The Admiral's face grew serious. "The Void? Stone, you know what that region does to ships. Even our advanced shields might not hold up against those gravitational waves." "With all due respect, sir, that's exactly why we need to go. No other fleet in this sector has the capability to attempt a rescue. If the Whispers are in trouble, they won't survive long enough for help to arrive from elsewhere." There was a long pause. The Admiral knew Stone's reputation. He'd never lost a ship under his command, and he'd never abandoned anyone who needed help, human or alien. "Very well, Commander, but be careful. We're picking up unusual activity in that sector. Several alien allies have warned us about increased swarm movements." Stone's jaw tightened. The swarm, hostile hive-mind insects that attacked anything they considered prey. If they were involved, this wasn't just a rescue mission anymore. It was a potential combat situation. "Understood, sir." Thunder's Edge out. The hologram faded, and Stone turned to his bridge crew. "Sound General Quarters. I want all 5 ships ready for combat operations. Full shields, weapons hot, but safetied." The bridge erupted into controlled activity. Warning klaxons sounded throughout the fleet as crews rushed to battle stations. Stone watched as his other 4 ships moved into attack formation. 2 destroyers, a carrier, and a medical frigate. "Core, plot us a course through the Void. Find us the safest approach to that signal." "Calculating." The AI responded. "Commander, even the optimal route will expose us to severe gravitational disturbances. Shield stress will be significant." "Noted." "Engineering, prepare for heavy shield load. I want triple redundancy on all critical systems." As his crew worked, Stone studied the tactical display. The Void lived up to its name, a region of space where normal rules didn't apply. Gravitational forces twisted and turned like invisible snakes, ready to crush any ship that didn't show proper respect. But humans hadn't become a spacefaring species by playing it safe. They'd evolved on a death world, surviving everything their harsh planet had thrown at them. Now they were known throughout the galaxy as the species that did the impossible. "Course plotted, Commander," Core announced. "Awaiting your order." Stone straightened his uniform and gave the command that would send his fleet into danger. "All ships, this is Commander Stone. We have people counting on us. Let's show the galaxy what humanity can do. Execute course plot on my mark." Mark. The 5 ships of Thunder's Edge fleet turned as one and accelerated toward the Void, their engines burning bright against the darkness of space. Whatever they found there, they would face it together. The first gravitational wave hit Thunder's Edge like a giant hammer. In the engine room, Chief Engineer Ray gripped his console as alarms blared around him. Warning lights flashed red across every screen, showing shield stress levels climbing dangerously high. "Tom," Ray shouted to his assistant over the rumbling of the ship. "Redirect power from the secondary systems. We need everything we've got in those shields." Tom's fingers flew across his control panel. "Already on it, Chief, but these waves are like nothing we've ever seen. It's like the whole of space is trying to crush us." Through the reinforced windows, they could see the strange effects of the void. Stars seemed to bend and twist, their light distorted by the massive gravitational forces. Even the space between stars looked wrong, as if reality itself was being stretched thin. On the bridge, Commander Stone watched as his fleet pushed deeper into the dangerous region. The destroyers Lightning and Storm flanked their position, while the carrier Iron Shield and medical frigate Hope's Light followed closely behind. "Core," Stone called out, "what's our status?" The AI's hologram flickered to life. "Shield strength holding at 78%, Commander. All ships reporting similar levels. However, I'm detecting something unusual ahead. Large concentrations of debris." The main screen zoomed in on their flight path. Stone's eyes widened. Floating in the twisted space before them were the remains of what must have been dozens of ships. Broken hulls and shattered equipment stretched out for millions of kilometers. "Analysis," Stone demanded. "The debris field is recent, Commander. No more than 48 hours old." Core's voice turned grave. "I'm detecting residual energy signatures consistent with swarm weapons." In engineering, Ray and Tom worked frantically to maintain shield stability. The gravitational waves were getting stronger, threatening to tear the ships apart. But among the normal disturbances, Ray noticed something odd. "Tom, look at this pattern," he said, pointing to a readout. "These waves, they're not random. There's a rhythm to them." Tom studied the data. "You're right. It's almost like they're being generated on purpose." Ray finished. "Get me the bridge." Commander Stone answered immediately. "What is it, Chief?" "Sir, these gravitational disturbances aren't natural. Someone or something is creating them, and if we can figure out the pattern, we might be able to use it to our advantage," Stone concluded. "Good work, Chief. Keep on it." The fleet pushed forward, their powerful engines fighting against the crushing forces of the void. Through the debris field, they began to notice more disturbing signs. Some of the destroyed ships showed evidence of being attacked from the inside out. "Classic swarm tactics," Core explained. "They board ships by breaching the hull in multiple locations simultaneously. Most species don't stand a chance once they're inside." Stone's expression hardened. "Well, they've never faced a human ship before. All hands, this is the commander. Prepare for possible boarding action. Marine teams to your stations. Remember your training. We are humanity's best." As if in response to his words, a massive gravitational wave slammed into the fleet. The ships groaned under the strain, but their shields held firm. In engineering, Ray smiled grimly as he watched his modifications working. "That's right," he muttered. "Hit us with your best shot. We're not going anywhere." Tom looked up from his station. "Chief, I'm picking up something big on the long-range scanners. Whatever's out there, we're getting close to it." Through the distorted space ahead, massive shapes began to emerge. The broken sections of what must have been an enormous ship drifted in the void, still sparking with residual energy. And among the wreckage, thousands of small, dark objects moved with purpose. The swarm was waiting for them. The broken pieces of the Whisper's trading vessel looked like a fallen giant in space. Its three main sections, each larger than Thunder's Edge, sparkled with faint bioluminescent patterns, a sign that there were still survivors aboard. "Life signs confirmed," Core announced, its holographic display showing hundreds of glowing dots. I count 327 survivors spread across all 3 sections. They're in sealed emergency chambers. Commander Stone studied the tactical display. The swarm forces were holding position just beyond weapons range, their dark shapes moving in perfect synchronization. They were waiting for something. "Launch rescue shuttles," Stone ordered. "I want Marine teams on each shuttle. Full combat gear." As the rescue crews prepared to launch, the nearest section of the broken vessel lit up with bright patterns of blue and white light. Koori immediately began translating the Whisper's light-based language. "Commander, they're warning us," the AI said. "They say there are multiple swarm nests already established in the wreckage. The swarm has been farming them." A grim silence fell over the bridge. Everyone knew what that meant. The swarm didn't just kill. They kept their victims alive, using them as food sources and bait for more prey. "Tell them help is coming," Stone replied. His voice was steady, but his hands gripped the command rail tightly. "All ships maintain defensive formation. Nothing gets through to those shuttles." The first wave of rescue shuttles launched from Thunder's Edge and its sister ships. Each one carried a team of heavily armed Marines in powered combat armor. On the lead shuttle, Marine Captain Lisa watched her team check their weapons one last time. "Remember," she said over the squad channel, "we're here to rescue survivors first. But if the swarm wants a fight, we'll show them why humans are called Deathworlders." The shuttles approached the nearest section of the broken vessel. Through their viewports, they could see the damage more clearly now. Huge holes had been torn in the hull, not from weapons fire, but from something breaking out from the inside. As the first shuttle docked, the Whisper's emergency chamber lit up with urgent patterns. Koori translated in real time. "They say the swarm is different now. They've evolved, learned new tactics. That's why the Whispers were caught off guard." The Marine teams moved through the airlock and into the broken ship. Their helmet lights cut through the darkness, revealing corridors that seemed to pulse with a sickly organic material. The swarm had already begun converting parts of the ship into their nest. "Contact." The shout came from Lisa's point man. Down the corridor, something dark and chitinous skittered away from their lights. The Marines raised their weapons but held their fire. They couldn't risk hitting the emergency chambers. They found the first group of survivors behind a heavily reinforced door. Inside, dozens of Whispers huddled together, their bodies glowing with patterns of relief and fear. The sight of human Marines in their powered armor seemed to both terrify and reassure them. "We're here to help," Lisa said, letting Koori translate her words into light patterns. "Can any of you tell us what happened?" One of the Whispers moved forward, its body flashing in complex patterns. The translation appeared in Lisa's helmet display. "They came from nowhere. Our sensors didn't detect them until it was too late. But that's not the worst part. They weren't just hunting. They were looking for something specific." Before Lisa could ask more, her radio crackled with Stone's voice. "All rescue teams, be advised. Swarm forces are moving. Multiple contacts closing in on all sides." The Whisper's patterns became frantic. Through the ship's broken hull, Lisa could see the swarm ships starting to move. Thousands of them, forming attack patterns she'd never seen before. The real battle was about to begin. The swarm struck from all directions at once. Thousands of their ships, each one bristling with organic weapons, swarmed toward the human fleet like angry wasps defending their nest. "All ships, combat stations." Commander Stone's voice cut through the chaos. "Defensive formation Delta. Protect those rescue shuttles." The human ships moved with practiced precision. The destroyers, Lightning, and Storm took up flanking positions, their heavy weapons blazing with energy fire. The carrier Iron Shield launched its fighter squadrons, while the medical frigate Hope's Light stayed close to Thunder's Edge, its enhanced shields adding to their defensive screen. In engineering, Ray watched the shield readings with growing concern. The combination of swarm attacks and gravitational waves was pushing their systems to the limit. Then he noticed something strange in the wave patterns. "Tom," he called out, "look at this. The gravitational waves. They're stronger when the swarm ships pass through them, but weaker right after." Tom's eyes widened. "The waves are affecting their bioships more than our metal hulls. Chief, are you thinking what I'm thinking?" Ray was already making calculations. "Core, can you hear me?" "Always, Chief Engineer," the AI responded. "I need control of the shield harmonics. We're going to try something crazy." On the bridge, Stone watched as the first wave of swarm ships broke against their shields. To everyone's surprise, the human fleet's defenses held firm. The swarm had never encountered ships that could withstand their initial assault. "Commander," Core announced, "Chief Engineer Ray requests permission to attempt an experimental shield modification. He believes he can use the gravitational waves as a weapon against the swarm." Stone didn't hesitate. "Do it." In the Broken Whispers ship, Marine Captain Lisa and her team were fighting a different kind of battle. Swarm drones had breached several sections, trying to reach the survivors. The Marines stood their ground, their heavy weapons proving devastatingly effective against the biological horrors. "They've never seen anything like us," one Marine said as his plasma rifle burned through 3 drones at once. The Whispers watched in awe as the humans, creatures they had only heard stories about, fought with an intensity that matched the swarm's ferocity. Back on Thunder's Edge, Ray's modification was ready. Implementing shield harmonics change in 3, 2, 1. The fleet's shields suddenly changed frequency. Instead of just blocking the gravitational waves, they began to redirect them. The waves bent around their ships and focused on the swarm forces. The effect was immediate and devastating. Swarm ships caught in the redirected waves began to break apart. Their biological construction, so effective in normal space, couldn't handle the concentrated gravitational forces. Hundreds of them were crushed or torn apart in seconds. "It's working," Tom shouted over the sound of straining engines. "The waves are doing our work for us." The swarm tried to adapt, changing their attack patterns, but they had never faced this kind of defense before. More importantly, they had never faced humans in full combat mode. The destroyer Lightning proved why it earned its name. Its main guns firing so rapidly, they created continuous streams of energy fire. From their emergency chambers, the Whispers watched the battle through the broken hull of their ship. Their bodies flashed with patterns of amazement and hope. The stories they had heard about humans, about their incredible adaptability and combat prowess, had not been exaggerated. "Commander," Core reported, "the swarm is falling back. They're retreating to regroup." Stone nodded grimly. "They'll be back. And next time, they'll be ready for our shield trick. But now, they know what they're dealing with. Now they know the cost of attacking the human fleet." Ray's voice came over the comm. "Sir, you need to hear this. The Whispers are transmitting something important. Something about why they were really out here in the void. The truth, when it came, would change everything." In the debris-filled space around the Broken Whispers ship, an uneasy calm settled after the battle. The swarm had retreated, but everyone knew they would return, stronger and more prepared than before. Commander Stone stood in the medical frigate's conference room, facing the leader of the rescued Whispers. The alien's body glowed with complex patterns as it revealed the truth about their presence in the void. Core had translated the light patterns. "We discovered something here, something ancient and powerful. A beacon left by those who came before." Stone leaned forward. "A beacon? What kind of beacon?" The Whisper's patterns shifted to deep blues and purples. "It leads to a cache of technology. Weapons and defenses beyond anything our species currently possess. We thought we could reach it safely, study it. We were wrong." On the main screen, images appeared showing the beacon, a strange crystalline structure that pulsed with its own inner light. Data streamed alongside it, showing energy readings that made even Siori pause in surprise. "The swarm followed us," the Whisper continued. "They want the beacon's coordinates. With such power, they could overwhelm any defense, consume any species they choose. In engineering, Ray and Tom worked to repair the damage from the battle while listening to the briefing through the ship's comm system. Tom stopped his work, looking troubled. "Chief," he said, "if the swarm gets that kind of firepower." Ray nodded grimly. "Game over for a lot of peaceful species, maybe even for us." Back in the conference room, Stone paced as he thought. The mission had just become far more complicated. They weren't just here for a rescue anymore. They were now standing between the swarm and a power that could upset the balance of the entire galaxy. "Core," he called out, "what's the status of the rescue operation?" The eye's hologram appeared. 207 survivors evacuated so far, Commander. 120 remain in the emergency chambers. Estimated time to completion: 3 hours. "We may not have 3 hours," Stone muttered. He turned to the Whisper leader. "Where exactly is this cache?" The aliens' patterns became hesitant, uncertain. Stone understood their caution. Humans were known throughout the galaxy as incredible warriors. Giving them access to advanced weapons could be risky. "We're not asking for the technology," Stone clarified, seeing their concern. "But we can't let the swarm get it either. They're already adapting to our tactics. Next time they attack, they'll be ready for our gravitational wave trick." The Whisper considered this, its patterns shifting through various colors as it communicated with its companions. Finally, it seemed to reach a decision. "The cache is hidden in a fold of space-time," Cord translated. "The beacon contains the exact coordinates and the key to accessing it. But the swarm damaged our navigation systems. We cannot reach it ourselves now." Stone's tactical mind was already working on a plan. They needed to complete the rescue, secure the cache, and deal with the swarm, all with limited time and resources. It was exactly the kind of impossible situation humans seemed to thrive in. "Commander," Corey interrupted his thoughts, "long-range sensors are detecting massive movement. The swarm is returning, and they've brought reinforcements. Preliminary count suggests 3 times the number of ships we faced before." The Whisper's patterns became urgent, almost frantic. "They must have called their entire hive in this sector. They will not stop until they have what they want." Stone straightened his uniform and set his jaw. He'd made harder decisions in his career, but few with such far-reaching consequences. The next few hours would determine not just their survival, but possibly the fate of numerous species across the galaxy. "Well then," he said, "we'd better make sure they don't get it." Time was running out. Commander Stone stood on the bridge of Thunder's Edge, watching the tactical display as thousands of red dots approached their position. The swarm had returned with enough ships to darken the sky. "Rescue operations at 80% complete, Commander," Core reported. "But the swarm will reach us before we can evacuate the remaining survivors." In engineering, Tom rushed up to Ray with an urgent look on his face. "Chief, I think I have an idea. It's crazy, but it might work." Ray looked up from his repairs. "Right now, crazy might be exactly what we need. What's your plan?" "The beacon's coordinates," Tom said, pointing to his datapad. "What if we use them as bait, set a trap for the swarm?" The idea quickly made its way to the bridge. Stone listened as Tom explained through the comm system. "The swarm thinks in simple terms: find prey, attack prey. They'll go straight for the beacon if they think they can get it. But the void's gravitational waves, we could use them. Create a killing field." Stone studied the tactical display, seeing the possibility. But it would mean splitting his forces, a dangerous move with so many enemies approaching. "Corey, analysis," he asked. The AI's hologram flickered as it ran calculations. "The plan has a 43% chance of success. However, those odds increase to 67% if we divide our forces optimally. 3 ships for rescue, 2 for the trap." Stone made his decision. Lightning, Storm, and Hope's Light will continue the evacuation. Thunder's Edge and Iron Shield will handle the beacon operation. The bridge crew snapped into action, relaying orders and preparing for the split. On the medical frigate, Marine Captain Lisa and her team were helping the last group of Whispers board the evacuation ships. "We're not leaving you behind," she told Stone over the comm. "You're not," Stone replied. "You're completing the mission. Those survivors are counting on you." The Whisper leader, watching the humans prepare their desperate plan, glowed with patterns that Corey translated as both concern and admiration. "Your species continues to surprise us," the alien communicated. "Most would flee from such odds. Yet you choose to fight, to protect others at risk to yourselves." Stone managed a small smile. "It's what humans do. We're too stubborn to know when we're outmatched." In engineering, Ray and Tom worked frantically to modify their ship's systems for the trap. The plan was risky. They would use the beacon's coordinates to lure the swarm into the strongest gravitational disturbances in the void, then amplify those waves to crush the enemy ships. "If we get this wrong," Tom said, "we'll be caught in it too." Ray nodded grimly. "Then we don't get it wrong." The swarm drew closer. Their vast numbers filled the long-range scanners, moving with singular purpose. They had evolved over millions of years to be perfect hunters. But they had never faced prey that fought back quite like this. "All ships," Stone broadcast across the fleet. "We've trained for impossible situations. We've prepared for days like this. Today, we show the galaxy why humans are called Deathworlders. Not because we're violent, but because we never, ever give up." The 5 ships of Thunder's Edge fleet moved into their final positions. The rescue ships formed a defensive screen around the remaining survivors, while Thunder's Edge and Iron Shield turned toward the coordinates of the ancient cache. Stone took one last look at his tactical display. In a few minutes, they would either pull off one of the greatest military operations in human history, or they would join the debris field floating in the void. "Execute plan on my mark," he ordered. "And whatever happens, it's been an honor." Space itself seemed to twist and bend as Thunder's Edge and Iron Shield pushed deeper into the void. Behind them, the massive swarm fleet followed exactly as planned, drawn by the beacon's signal like moths to a flame. "They're taking the bait," Tom reported from engineering. "All of them." Ray watched the power readings climb on his console. Gravitational containment fields at maximum. "If this works, it's going to be one hell of a light show." On the bridge, Commander Stone tracked both parts of the operation. The rescue ships, Lightning, Storm, and Hope's Light, were fighting their own battle, protecting the final evacuation of the Whisper survivors. Marine Captain Lisa and her teams held the line against waves of swarm drones, their weapons blazing in the darkness of space. "Final group of survivors aboard," Lisa reported through the static. "But we're taking heavy fire." Stone checked his tactical display. The rescue ships were surrounded, but they were holding. The Whispers watched in amazement as the human ships weathered attacks that would have destroyed most other vessels instantly. "Begin your withdrawal," Stone ordered. "We'll handle things here." Thunder's Edge and Iron Shield reached their designated positions. The gravitational waves in this part of the void were so strong they made the ship's metal hulls creak and groan. Behind them, the swarm pressed forward, their biological ships somehow ignoring the mounting pressure. "Now," Stone commanded. Ray and Tom activated their modified shields. Instead of fighting against the void's gravitational waves, they amplified them, creating a cascading effect that spread through space like ripples in a pond. The swarm ships in the front ranks began to break apart almost immediately. But the swarm kept coming. For every ship that was crushed by the gravitational forces, 2 more took its place. They were so focused on reaching the beacon that they ignored their mounting losses. "They're adapting," Corey warned. "The ships in the back are developing some kind of gravitational shielding." Stone had expected this. "Initiate Phase 2. Iron Shield launched its remaining fighters, each one carrying a special payload, modified beacons broadcasting the same signal as the original. The small ships darted through the swarm formation, dropping their cargo at precise coordinates. The effect was immediate. The swarm ships turned in confusion, their simple minds unable to process the multiple beacon signals. As they tried to move in different directions at once, their formation broke apart. Ships collided with each other, while others flew straight into the strongest gravitational disturbances. "It's working," Ray reported, his voice tight with concentration. "The gravitational fields are reaching critical levels. We need to pull back now." Stone gave the order, and both human ships fired their engines at full power, breaking free of the void's deadly grip. Behind them, space itself seemed to collapse as the amplified gravitational waves reached their peak. The trapped swarm ships were caught in a crushing vice, their bodies twisted and broken by forces they couldn't escape. In less than 5 minutes, it was over. Where there had been thousands of swarm ships, now there was only debris being pulled into the very trap they had helped create. The rescue fleet rejoined them at the edge of the void. All 327 Whispers had been saved, though the human ships showed signs of the fierce battle they had fought to protect them. The Whisper leader's body glowed with patterns of deep respect and gratitude. "You have done more than save us," Corey translated. "You have shown us why humanity is not just feared, but admired. We would be honored to form an alliance with your species." Stone looked at his crew, the engineers who had turned the void itself into a weapon, the Marines who had fought impossible odds to protect strangers, the pilots who had flown into danger without hesitation. This was humanity at its best, not just surviving, but helping others survive too. "The honor," he replied, "is ours." As the fleet set course for home, their mission complete, the legend of Thunder's Edge grew. Throughout the galaxy, species would tell stories of the human ships that had faced down the swarm and won, turning certain defeat into victory through courage, innovation, and sheer determination. The Deathworlders had proven once again why they were a force to be reckoned with, not because they were the strongest or the most advanced, but because they never gave up, never stopped trying, and never abandoned those who needed their help.